Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of CavsHQ Happy Hour. It is presented by Budweiser. Alongside the Spanish voice of the Cavs and the Browns, Rafa Hernandez-Brito, I'm John Michael. Great to have you with us as we get into another weekend. Rafa, they are in the and NBA scrimmage games have begun.
Finally, we actually got to see people playing against another team. It's just the same thing that happened with baseball a little bit. For some reason, I guess for the good of the people, both leagues are coming in back together. Baseball tomorrow, the NBA got a couple of more games getting in. But it was fun I tell you what, it was fun to sit and see basketball back. But even though we have been off since March 10th, it felt weird not to have anything to do with the fact that it's coming back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is. And listen to this. I was so excited. Right? I was so excited for the restart. I still am, but I was watching the practice games. I got to be honest, I was salty. I was looking at the other broadcasters saying, look at these guys they're having a good time. They're enjoying themselves. They're calling. I was so excited. And literally 5 minutes in, I was surly. I'm sitting there angry that we're not down there.
I told my wife, I said, man, this is the first time that it bothers me, the fact that I
right.
part of it. For the first time, I'm not part of the NBA, literally, like the season going on. So it feels weird. But I'm happy that not only that, I'm happy that it's back, but I'm happy, John, that all the effort that the league have put into this are showing great fruits, great results.
0 positive tests. Let's go around. I mean, which is fantastic. You know, you figured you would coming in about it last week. I mean, they're strict. Rashawn Holmes went outside the perimeter food, and he gets hit with a quarantine 10 days or something like that. So, it does appear to be paying off, and hopefully, like you said, Rafa, they're doing everything they can right now, and hopefully it plays out the way they're hoping it does, and we get some basketball here over the next couple of months.
I'm hoping that it works like that for everybody. Obviously, our situation is different because of dead bubble. And, with baseball about to start, they're going to travel. They're going to be staying in a hotel. So let's hope that they also take the precaution and get the result that we've been getting. But also, we're about to see how this is going to affect teams. Like, for example, the Clippers, who started the scrimmages without Harold and without Beverly because of personal reasons. And now, it all depends on how they follow the protocol, whether when they come back, they have a 4-day quarantine or a 10-day quarantine. So right now, it hasn't really started yet, but I can't wait to see how these teams are going to be affected by, those family emergencies or anything that has to happen outside of the bubble for these players. So real life and basketball are going to come in together again.
And it's just part of the logistics that the NBA had to go through to even get here. To get into this, and all of this and that, everybody's making fun. Everybody's heard of the ping pong rule. You're allowed to play singles ping pong, but not doubles, right? Because it's too close to your partner. That, brought some levity to the situation, but it does give you an idea of just how explicit these rules have to be and to take into account all the things that can happen. So, again, great signs out of the NBA. You bring up a good point. Major League Baseball is approaching this differently. Opening night was last night. The Indians get going here this evening. Our special guest is Andre Knott. It was fun talking to Jensen Lewis last week, and I felt, Rafa, like we get to talk to Jensen for a couple of hours. Our great producer, Leo Simone, said that's fine. We'll talk to Andre this week and keep holding it as we get ready for the Indians opener here tonight.
I told him, I said, you better make sure you bring from A to Z because we got the soup to nuts here. That's his podcast. I gotta start doing the pitching for our friend Andre Knott. But it's interesting he's also been involved and he's gonna be involved in the home games. I'm interested to see how they're gonna do the away games and this baseball. I'm so thrilled baseball is back as well because I could watch 3 games in a day and be fine with it. And again, the not knowing of how this is going to work now that they're going into playing against each other. The Blue Jays, they don't even know where they're going to be playing their away games because Canada did not allow them to play, allowed them to practice at the Rogers Center, but not to play against other teams. So they're looking for maybe your hometown Pittsburgh is one of the candidates to be the home of the Blue Jays for this 60-game season.
Well, it was, and actually breaking news said no, they can't come in. The Blue Jays said we want to play in Pittsburgh. The Pirates said, yeah, you're welcome to play here in Pittsburgh. State of Pennsylvania said we don't want the additional people coming in and out. Two more teams, two more, staffs and everything else. So the Blue Jays still are without a home. I heard Baltimore might be a possibility. Buffalo, where the AAA ball club plays, but apparently the major league players didn't want to play in a minor league ballpark, so they're without a home. I heard it proposed that they may just play as the home team on the road all season long. So that, another interesting proposition for a team through those 60 games. Yeah, I can't wait either, Rafa. I mean, again, we've talked about this a number of times. I don't know what they have on the TV at night in the summer. I mean, it's just on Monday, the Indians had their first telecast on Sports Time Ohio. And, to see those guys out there and doing their thing. This is part of what I want to talk to Andre about. We were talking off the air. He said, this is so strange, just being back here and nobody's here. He's used to being among the people, and he's among nobody. He's out there in the stands. He basically can hear, the guys up in the booth. There's nobody in there. So that's part of what I want to talk to him about how things change for him and how things, more importantly, change for the players out there on the field in this 60-game regular season.
And I have a couple of questions for him that I'll leave it for when he shows up. But also, I wonder, are they going to have the hot dog and the ketchup and the mustard, the onion, the ones that, the races, and that little gambling possibilities at home for everybody who's going to win?
They got to race 6 feet apart, though. Even in those mascot costumes, they got to be 6 feet apart. We'll see. I mean, the nuances, even watching the game on Monday night, the preseason game against the Pirates, he's played 3 games all against the Pirates, won all 3, 1 at home, 2 on the road. To see that the crowd noise, that was different. To hear the drum, by the way, they have the recording of the drum that's normally played out in center field, and to see how that affects the players, how this might affect, I don't know if it affects strategy at all. All of these things are stuff that we're going to bounce off Andre here in just a moment.
I'm hoping, I don't know if you were watching, we're talking about the NBA game. I don't know if they have turned down the mic on the what you can hear on the court, because I wasn't really able to hear the players much. And that was something I was looking forward to, just to hear the conversation that goes on. Some of them obviously is not PG-13, but I'm hoping that in baseball as well, because there's so much that goes on in baseball in between pitches. And I think that was the beauty of the game is, because everybody thinks it's just about throwing the game and throwing the ball and batting, but there's so much that goes on in baseball in between pitches that I'm hoping that now that there's no crowd and there's no other than just the game, that people are going to be able to appreciate a little more.
I saw a discussion on that. It wasn't about the NBA. It was about a different league coming back, and I can't recall which one it was, but they said if we're going to have that cranked up, we really need somebody on the mute button. I mean, think about it. During the course of a basketball game, kids are watching. You're going to need somebody on the mute button the whole time. So I don't know if that plays into the decision, how loud that crowd or that court mic is going to be, but it's certainly something to take into account. So we're going to have Andre Knott with us shortly. And hey, let him in right now. And here he is, our featured guest. It is Andre Knott. Andre, I got to be honest with you. Monday night, I could not have been happier to see your face. That's the happiest I've ever been to see that bald head of yours.
The feeling was mutual. And he texted right away, Rafa, to let me know he really felt that way. It was cool to be back to work. I love my family. I love my house, but it was cool to be back in the office.
Please keep the shot the way you have it, because it looks like you have a Rafa shirt on. So that's like
Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm rocking my man Ricky Smith's Random Acts of Kindness t-shirt. I love what he's doing in the community, so I wanted to give him some love because he's done some great stuff around Cleveland, especially during the pandemic.
When we talked on Monday, you mentioned that it was odd. It's odd for us to watch it a little bit without the fans, but man, for those of us who love baseball, such a welcome sight for you. What is it like in there? No fans. Rafa and I just said you're usually among the people. That's where you look the most comfortable. No people. Tell us what that experience was like and what you anticipate it being like over the next 60.
You know that you both know me, and I do thrive being around people, especially at the ballpark or even when I'm over at the arena seeing you guys getting ready to do a Cavs game. So I think that's the odd part. for all of us, just, driving down to the ballpark, you think about all the times where you see the guy, the parking attendant, or someone that checks your badge. And when you go to the park every day, those people become, they're like family. You know how their family's doing or how they're doing. So that's weird. But once the game started, and I think you guys know this, and I think this is the coolest thing ever, the game became the game. And then you get into how do we entertain people? How do we, make people forget maybe that they've been at home for a while? We received a lot of emails we received yesterday, and Rick Manning, who's the old, I call him the governor because I mess with him. I guess I should make governor jokes nowadays, but I mess with him because he's been around so long. He's like our AC, and we got a really cool email from some older people for the older gentleman that just said, hey, it's been a hard quarantine for us, and just knowing and seeing us do a baseball game and just talking baseball, how much that was able to touch, them and just to kind of keep it up and be ourselves. And I think that's the coolest thing is I work with a group of guys that we haven't been doing games together, but we text each other constantly and pick with each other. So when we got back on the air, it felt relatively like getting on the bike per se. And you guys know this, with everything that's happened in our country over the last few weeks and few months, it's nice to get back on the air and show that we can move forward. We can get some normal. And I think we had to check ourselves because it's easy to look around the park and see no fans, to hear the noise that's fake but real. And is it too loud? Is it too quiet? And then you just realize that, hey, man, we're blessed to be able to entertain people. So let's go entertain people and make the most of it. So that's the thing that I took, to be completely honest with you guys.
You mentioned what we've been going through in this country, not only socially, but also, medically with the pandemic. And you being a family man, and I know you love your kids and you love your wife. How was that decision? Because obviously wearing a mask is something that we're asking people to do, whatever your religious, political, or medical beliefs are. It is also proven, that the abundance of caution is always best, correct?
Yes.
So the process for you, and if you can talk a little bit about what the new normal looks like for the players and you and the people working against.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that question up. I think the one thing that we've all were kind of told from the beginning of this, guys, was, throw out your political thought process, throw out this or that. We're going to do this to move forward. And I think the players and the Indians as an organization have done a great job of, however you feel, whatever you vote for, that's fine. But if we're going to do this and we're going to have baseball and we're going to have sports back, these are the rules from the moment that you walk into Progressive Field. And I'll be honest with you, I'm glad that they kind of said it that way because it throws out the discussion, the political discussion. It's, do you want to work? Do you want to do your job? And I think the players have been great, and Terry Francona has been great, and kind of telling the guys, don't complain. If you're coming here to complain, you're at the wrong place, because we could all still be at home, with our families and wondering when we're going to get some normalcy back. So I will give the Indians organization a lot of credit. From the moment that we walk in, Rafa, we get our temperature taken, we get the questions asked. Is it odd? Heck, we work in a business where we laugh and talk, like my best feature is me smiling, whether I'm mad or happy. So we're allowed to move it when we're on the air. They put up some glass in between Rick and Matt upstairs. But Rafa, this is our country right now, and this is where we're at. And to get back to where we need to go, we've all agreed. Heck, we went over to the studios yesterday to do a dry run because we're going to have to do road games from the studio. And you guys both have done play-by-play in different places. It's going to be a tad different, but we're all in that studio and we're masked up and, we're making fun of each other. And I think that we realize that, if this is the step that we have to take to get back to doing what we love, then we're willing to do it. And we're hoping that we can get rid of the political side of what that's become about a mask, so other people can see us out there and see that it's okay. You still can have fun. We can still laugh and talk. We can still watch the game, and then go home and be healthy with our kids and family, because that is the most important thing for me at the end of the day.
Talk baseball with you mostly, Andre. Let me just ask you one more question on this because it relates to the NBA. Obviously, different approaches, right? NBA goes to the bubble. We saw recently 0 positive tests in the NBA the last go around, which was thrilling to those who want to see this season play out. What's your level of comfort or your level of concern, if any, with how baseball has done this? The approach obviously is different. Teams are going to be traveling to different cities. There's no bubble. Is there a level of concern for you with what you've seen? I mean, you're on the inside. You've seen it closer than anybody else. Where is it right now in your mind in terms of hopefully being able to finish this season and play it out like baseball hopes?
Yeah, John, it's $1 million question. I feel now that I've gone to the ballpark a few times, I do feel more comfortable than I did when you just kind of read an email of, hey, we're going to do X, X, and X, and and you're going to be okay. The way that they are testing the players, the way that the players, as Terry Francona said it, and he tried to say it diplomatically as well as he could. A lot of the players, and you guys have flown on the team planes of this. The most comfortable place I think most of us feel is at the ballpark because of all the standards that they're going through. Whether it's always constantly cleaning your hands and having sanitizer, whether it's having masks, whether it's how much they're getting tested. All of those things make us feel much more comfortable. I'll be honest, I thought at one time we were going to try to do the bubble, and as the NBA is doing and MS and soccer is doing, and it just didn't work probably because we didn't get our season started. And this is all just and the players were afraid of a bubble, which is a whole other conversation. But I'll be honest with you guys, to me, what we have going right now, it works, or we're going to find out if it works in the next 10 to 14 days after every team has to do a road trip. We know how the Indians are taking care of their situation and how they're keeping things clean, how they have the players separated where they're eating. I mean, you guys know the visiting team's clubhouse is the bar out in right field right now. Yeah. Like that's how separated things are. So really the next 10, 14 days, let's see every team make a trip. I know that our guys are very not concerned, but we're asking questions of when the team goes to Kansas City, Detroit, wherever they may go, were the circumstances set up the same way they're set up here? I'm very comfortable with what's going on. But I am curious if everyone else is doing things the way that we're doing them. So in the beginning, there was some, you held your breath for a minute, but once you go to the park and see how clean they are and how they're going about things, it makes you feel much more comfortable.
Real quick follow-up, Andre. Again, in terms of the ballpark is one thing, yet when players go home, when players go away from the ballpark, to me, I think that's where the biggest danger lies. And I think that's what the NBA is trying to combat. I'm not saying one's better and one's worse. I'm just saying that while ballparks seem to be, yes, they're doing the right thing, I think it lies on a lot of the players right now who are allowed to go home. If you're allowed to leave the ballpark and leave the area, a lot of this is on Major League ball players, right?
Yeah, that's you're dead on. We're not worried at the park. We're worried about when you leave. What's your respect of each other? And that's what the Indians have done. They basically put their own code, their code together, a code of who we are to stand up for each other. They have a guy, as you guys know, in Carlos Carrasco, who, if that guy, speaking of smiles and what he means to a community,
great point.
He went through last year. And I think the Indians aren't saying just, hey, we have Carlos Carrasco, we have to take care of him. The way the Indians have told their players is we have to respect each other's families, each other's grandparents, each other's kids. We have people that are high risk. So yes, what you're saying is the big concern is when you go out, and we've already seen the Indians try to be proactive with that. And they weren't trying to call Franmil Reyes out. Franmil Reyes did what a lot of people did on the 4th of July. He went to a family cookout or whatever, and hung out with some family. He has a great story of his wife's family is actually from this area. And they went to a party and didn't wear masks, and it showed up on social media, and the Indians instantly said, don't come to the ballpark. You got to test positive twice. That was their way, guys, of saying, we're not messing around. Like, if we can't trust you away from the ballpark, then we can't do this. And they're hoping that moment was the moment that their roster realizes it's bigger than the guy you're looking at in the mirror. You're trying to keep everyone else healthy. And especially when you got a guy like Carlos Carrasco, who's given so much of himself to our community, to his communities, to around the country, and knowing what he's went through physically, for them to say, basically, do not put this guy in danger because you want to go out and take care of you for a night.
And I think that's what it comes down to, the respect and the responsibility that everybody's going to have to share when it comes down to making this thing work. And talking about making it work, we all want to see baseball. Bottom line, we want to see that first pitch be thrown tonight. And talking about that, there's really no precedent, Andrea, for this season. No 60-game season ever before, expanded, new rules. What do you think are I was born a Yankee fan. I never hide that. And I remember two guys, Shane Battier and Kevin Mass, who were called up in September and had a monster game stretch and made them, I guess get them a contract or whatever you want to call it. But now that we have this, I look at this as there will be a couple of players, hitters or pitchers that are going to take advantage of this opportunity and hopefully get hot. How do you see the Indians handling this? They're known for starting slow, and now there's no chance to start slow here. So how do you see this?
Yeah, you hit on the big thing. They are known as a team that starts a little slow, and Terry Francona is great at almost basically rolling the balls out for the first month and a half because he knows he has 6 months to kind of figure out who we are, how we're going to play, what we're going to be. Well, that's out the window now, right, guys? Like and Tito's what he has told them. Guys, we are starting the season on August 1st, and we're tied for first place with everybody else in our division. Like, he wants the mindset of we already have to go. We got 2 months, and we're tied for first place. So I think early on you're going to see, Rafa, I think you're going to see a quicker hook with starting pitchers, a quicker hook maybe with relief pitchers, and the players know it. I just had this conversation with Cookie last night where Cookie said, he's trying everything he can to have that same momentum or that same rhythm that he usually has. I know the last time out, he says it stinks pitching against your own teammates, but he had to almost close his eyes, not literally, but figuratively in his mind. He had to say, I'm throwing against the Detroit Tigers, or I'm throwing because he knows the next time out, it counts. And Tito's got a great way of putting things, and I think he's told these guys, he's like, hey, when we go out there, whether there's fans or not, it's going to be on the back of your bubblegum card. That tells you his age. But he's basically saying these numbers, they're going to count, even if it's, if it's 40 games, 60 games. And to go off of what you're saying, and I remember when Kevin Moss had that huge month of September, I'll never forget, and Shane Spencer, I think we have the right guys. I mean, we saw this last year with Jose Ramirez, where we went 3.5 months with people at the grocery store, the guy that was cutting my grass, the girl that was watching my kids, all the way up to the president of the team asking me what's wrong with Jose Ramirez. And when he got hot, he got him back in the race last year. Yeah. If you can get Santana, Ramirez, or Lindor just to have a great 4 or 5 weeks, heck, that may win an MVP, and that may get them where they need to go. The cool thing about this team is that they took it amongst themselves as starting pitchers, and you guys will love this. When we left Arizona, the starting pitchers all came together and were like, we are going to be the difference of why we win whenever they let us come back. And between Carrasco, between Bieber, between Clevenger, they all went to different parts of the country. Some went to California, some went to Florida, some bounced back and forth from here. Heck, Zach Plesac drove from Arizona to Indiana to Cincinnati to Florida, back to Cleveland, but he did that so he could throw with all the pitchers. They've made it a thing that they want to carry this team. And so far, they look like they're ahead of everyone else because they kept pitching, they kept working out. And that's going to be the key, Rafa. If they can get starting pitchers to go 5-6 innings early on, they feel like they're going to be a step in front of every other team. So that's what I would look at early.
I love hearing stuff like that. You mentioned in that lineup, you mentioned 3 of the top 4 hitters, right? Add Cesar Hernandez to that leading off. How about that top 4, first of all, just in the lineup? Second of all, that's your infield. Third of all, they're all switch hitters.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think I read this first time, since the 70s?
Since the 70s.
Yes, 4 switch hitters at the top of the lineup. And, oh, by the way, it's your infield. Man, the possibility, not only the possibilities, those basically are just about your 4 best players in that lineup, Andre. I mean, that's I don't know if Murderer's Row is quite too a little bit high, but, man, to kick off a lineup, I mean, Tito's got to be loving it, right?
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Tommy Bowe. He had 4 months off. He was ready to go with that stat. Tommy Bowe's got he's going to have stuff for you've never seen before, John. He is geeked up and ready. The versatility that you just mentioned in those first 4 guys, I think that's what baseball's about nowadays. We can talk about the home run and everything else, but they have the versatility to steal bases, to hit the ball the other way, to hit behind guys, to drive the ball out of the ballpark. Tito wants a team that can take first to third, second to home. He wants a great base running team where you're going to get that in Hernandez. And to me, I love saying this, and it kind of rubs people the wrong way sometimes, but it's not. Francisco Lindor is the face of the Indians. He is the face of Major League Baseball. No one will fight that. The heartbeat of the Cleveland Indians is Jose Ramirez. And the more at-bats you can get of Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor, the better chance you have of winning. And they have a great competition amongst themselves that they would never call a competition. I'm the one calling it a competition. But it's a little bit like little brother, big brother. You know, like you go hit a double, I'm going to hit a triple. You hit a home run, I'm going to hit a home run. You make a diving play in the hole, I'm going to make a diving play in the hole. I love watching those two kind of jab each other back and forth. And I think Tito sees if you put them in the 2-3 hole. The other thing Lindor is great at doing is seeing what's helping you or hurting you and giving that back to the players. You know, he's great at seeing, you know, hey, Jose, they're trying to get you with the high fastball. Stay off of it. They have great conversations like that, guys, and I think that's a beautiful thing to watch when you have great athletes. I think that's part of why he wants this lineup this way. And to take it a step further, I think Bradley Zimmer is going to sneak on this lineup and Shane Spencer for us, Rafa. I think he's going to come out of here. He hasn't played in 2 years. He's been banged up, but he's got all this talent. If him and Oscar Mercado are batting 8-9, you got two leadoff hitters at the bottom, and then you can roll it over. This offense may not be the softball offenses that you're going to see in Minnesota and with the Chicago White Sox, who may hit 60 home runs in 60 days or whatever else, and God bless them. But you're going to see a versatile offense that can score like those teams, but do it multiple ways.
You know, going back to your pitching, and you talked about how the starters got together and they know they're going to be a huge part of the success that the Indians want to have this season. When you throw in Bebo Perez there, coming off of an amazing year as a catcher, and it has to be something that has to give Tito Francona a lot of confidence to have a guy that can handle all the pitching stuff, not only the starters, but the way that he had played and the confidence that he has shown and the big hits he always gets in the 8th and 9th inning. I mean, that's something that you guys got to be looking forward.
He's my favorite story on the team. What Roberto Perez stands for is, and how he has played, Rafa, is one of the most, you guys know it. Like, we root for every guy on the team that we cover, right? But what Perez stands for and what he's come from and where he was drafted and how he carries himself, that's the story that you want to tell at 7 o'clock, you know, because he's the story that you can tell the kid in Rocky River, you can tell the kid in Strongsville or Ashtabula. Like, you work hard, you treat people right, you have a chance. But now I'm saying that he's got some God-given ability that he's making the most of. And I love, you know, we went to Puerto Rico 2 years ago, and when we went, it was, hey, you know, it was Lindor's from here. Let's do stories on Lindor. And that was great. But to know a little bit more about Roberto and to know the heritage of being a great Puerto Rican catcher, I loved it. Like, we went to the ballpark, and guys, they have this mural of, you know, the Alomar, Sandy Alomar is up on it, you know, Benito Santiago, you know, Pudge Rodriguez. You're seeing all these, and like, you're seeing all these guys, and then you realize it means something to put the catcher's gear on and be Puerto Rican. There's a pride to that. And Berto is running with it, man. Berto is one of the best in the business. The best thing I can say about him is that when pitchers are battling or scuffling, the rule with the Indians is follow Bebo's count. Follow what he does. If he says throw a slider, you throw the slider, even if you don't feel it. If he says throw the fastball 3 times in a row, you throw it 3 times in a row, because I'll tell a quick story. Zach Plesac just got called up last year. It was like his 3rd or 4th start. And Zach's a great athlete. Zach's one of those athletes you guys can be talking about doing basketball. You can do he's that type of athlete. He can be playing football. And he was a little raw last year. So after the game, I go up to him. I'm like, hey, man, you competed. You got 5-6 innings. And he looked at me and he goes, man, Roberto's really mad at me. And I go, what? And he goes, I think Roberto's mad at me because I shook him a couple times. And he goes, and I got over to the bench, and he goes, and Cleve and Pluco said, you don't shake Berto. He said, you follow what Berto does, and he'll get you where you need to go. That's the respect he's commanded as a first-time catcher, Gold Glove catcher. And you know, he's got a lot of respect for the kid over in St. Louis, who some say is the best defensive catcher that we've seen in the last 10, 20 years in Molina.
Let me give you a Roberto Perez story. You know, I invited him to come to a Christmas game, which was against the Warriors. And I said, come and do the game with me, right? Do the color. Like, midway into the first quarter, I asked him something, and he goes, come on, stop talking to me. I want to watch a game.
That's Berto, though. That's him. He's a cool dude, but he takes his business very seriously. And it's awesome to watch him play. It really is.
I can't wait.
I mean, the best thing about him, Andre, he's so good defensively. You can live with him at 190, but to see the way he's progressed at the plate now, I mean, he's invaluable. It was invaluable. He's invaluable at 90. I mean, see, we talked to Sandy Alomar about it. He said, "I'm so proud of this kid." It's playing out right in front of us now with Perez.
It is. You know, the thing about his hitting, which was really cool, is that Lindor, being his best friend, wouldn't let him just rest on being a great defensive catcher. You know, I remember going into the season last year where we were at like Tribe Fest in February 2 years ago, and Lindor says he better hit 20 home runs in 260. I go, what? He goes, Andre, he's got the best eye on our team. And he goes, so I told him, your eye is too good to hit 190. You can hit the ball. So we have a thing that's going. Lindor tells him he better not hit 190, and I tell him he better hit the ball to right center field every game. Like, even I text him, hit the ball to right center field. It's an awesome story. He really is what it's all about.
So the Indians have Reyes at 5, Perez probably at 7. You talked about the guys at 8 and 9. So up and down that lineup, solid. Before we let you go, Andre, let's talk bullpen. Where is it right now? What do you see this bullpen coming into the season? We've talked on this show a bunch about the new rule that none of us seem to like, that you have to face a 3-hitter minimum, and how that's going to change the game. Give us a State of the Union on that Indians bullpen coming into opening night tonight.
It's funny. It took a pandemic to get Tito to stop complaining about the 3-pitcher rule. I think for all of us, that's going to be goofy. But it is what it is. Bullpen start with the closer. Brad Hand was lights out filthy for a year and a half, and then after the All-Star game last year, he got a little bit of a tired arm. His back was bothering him. He's the question, because if he's right, you can build off of him. He did throw a little bit harder in the last game in Pittsburgh that they played. He was up to 92. If he's at 89, 90, look for Tito to get somebody else up back in the bullpen. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's a gamer, to be completely honest. I think he's one of those guys that needs to see the opposing team's jersey to get going. They have they got some arms. And as the pitching coach told me the other day, Carl Willis, he said, I don't want to label these guys and say 7th inning, 8th inning, this matchup guy just yet. I want them to find their way. James Karinchak can throw it up to 99, throw it to 100 miles an hour. He's got a curveball that's just disgusting. He just has to find his way, and he has to understand that he doesn't have to throw that unbelievable curveball every time. Sometimes just getting over the plate is enough. Remember the name Cam Hill. He made the team this week. It's the first time in the big leagues. He's been compared a little bit to Cody Allen, fastball, curveball guy, young guy that's got some cojones is what I'll say. And I think they like that about him, that he's not afraid. And then, Oliver Perez, who may be as old as me, who knows, but he keeps getting guys out left and right. And they're going to kind of match up with guys from there. But remember those two young guys, Karinchak and Cam Hill. I'm not saying they're going to be your 7th inning and 8th inning guys. I'm just saying to get where they need to go, those are going to be two guys they're going to have to step up and kind of find their way on the big league level.
In baseball, there's 3 outs, 3 strikes, you're out, 3, whatever you want to call it. So I got 3 requests for you.
Okay.
The first one, you should get the Indians to invite me as a fan, because I've been known to make the noise of like 1,000 fans. So that's one. The second one, I think it'd be interesting to see John and I throw the first pitch, even though the last time I threw it, the Indians lost the 22-game winning streak.
I was going to say, I've seen you do it before.
And third, we should do the games on SAP on Fox Sports Time Ohio. Come on, make it happen.
All right. I'm able to get one of the third going, all right? And look, the last time we had Cribbs throw out the first pitch, and we had him on the pregame show, and he goes, well, what do you think I should do? And we had Channing Frye on last year to do
I saw that one.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Channing and I are still – I'm like, Channing, what are you doing? Here's my rule. If I get you on there, and this is my secret, rather than throwing it where they want you to throw it over the backstop, and we'll never miss it again. You'll be a part of the rollout for the rest of our lives.
Just a bit outside.
Just a bit.
He's always asking for.
I love it, man. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
No, I mean it, Andre. It was just great to see you and Matt and Rick, and you guys do a great job. Same approach as us. Just have a good time. Don't take yourself too seriously, and let her rip. And we love watching it. You do a fantastic job. Any final messages as we get ready for opening night tonight?
No, just buckle up, and thanks to all the fans for being patient and being here with us. We do too. I know these guys feel the same way that I feel. We appreciate you guys.
And on that note, Andre, you guys have done a great job over there in Sports Time Ohio with your message, Major League Baseball, the Indians. You know, that we've been talking about the Cavs and the NBA and what they've done with respect to that message as well. Keep using that platform, Andre. It's going to mean good things for this world.
Absolutely. Hey, it's about all of us having a better world. Now, you just hit on it. And I think for us, we are insulated because we're around teams all the time, right? And we don't see kind of some of the hate that's on the outside of the world because we put ourselves in sports. And no matter what country you're from, no matter what state you're from, no matter what you look like, we bring everybody in because that's how you win. Hopefully we can show the rest of the world that, look, this isn't a bad thing for all of us to come together because it makes all of our worlds better.
Andre, great stuff. Have a great season for our featured guest, Mr. Andre Knott. Opening night tonight, by the way, Indians Live starts at 6 o'clock. Game time a little bit after 7 for Andre and Rafa. I'm John. Hope you enjoyed CavsHQ Happy Hour presented by Budweiser.
Nice shirt.
3 things.
Pretty